Welcome into the room. I'm going to have several folks join me, and I'm very, very excited about that. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to introduce what we're going to be doing today. It is World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. It's June 1st every year, and it is an important day for survivors. We are celebrating you. And we're celebrating you because with everything that got thrown at you, you are still here. You are still advocating for yourself, speaking up for yourself, getting out of bed every day. Many of you taking care of children and responsibilities, and you're doing it without the help of many people who should be helping and protecting you, including the other parent you had children with, as well as the systems that are there to protect you. So I'm going to add some folks into this conversation today. We're going to answer some questions in the chat and celebrate you. Celebrate you, celebrate you, celebrate. Let's go ahead and get started. Very excited for you to be here. And for those in the chat, please drop where you're coming in at, your city, your state, your country. Let us know where you're coming in at. And welcome, welcome, welcome to the live for those who are joining me today. I'm so excited. For those who came in, for the amazing people, I want to introduce you to some incredible practitioners. I'm going to start with you, Chantel. Please introduce yourself to the audience so that we can go ahead and get them familiar with you.
Thank you so much for organizing this, Kimberly. My name is Chantel Contreras, and wait for it, I'm a coercive control co-parenting coach. That's what I do.
Wow. Now, I know that there's a lot of people in the chat that are going to need some support from you. This is the biggest issue. One of the biggest issues that we have is dealing with the aftermath of abuse. So welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Sammy, please introduce yourself as well.
I am Sammy. I'm so glad we're doing this. But I am a certified narcissistic abuse specialist, certified trauma-informed coach. So I help people, get back in touch with their bodies, really honor what they're feeling, pay attention to what they're feeling, and have a way to gain clarity after everything that they've been experiencing.
That is like with the word scramble that we experience, the reality scramble that we experience as abuse survivors, clarity is incredibly important and one of the most challenging things. So we're so glad that you're here to join us today, Sammy. Jess, please introduce yourself and where you're coming in from.
Hey everyone, it's so good to be here to this World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. Like, this is such a crucial day. Like, this is the day. Oh my God.
Should be every day.
This is
Every
oh
day.
my God, this day is every day, yes. Yeah, I'm speaking from Vancouver, BC. I'm also a survivor. I'm an expert for self-worth and healing from these and breaking these toxic relationship patterns.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. You hear the same theme amongst all of us. Again, for those who are joining in with me, my name is Kimberly Weeks. I am a trauma care practitioner and narcissistic abuse recovery coach. And it's World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. So what we're going to do for those who are on the live with us right now, please drop in the chat any questions you would like for us to address. But I have a group of questions that I think are very important for us to discuss. And I'm going to start off with wanting to hear you, Chantel, you, Sammy, and you, Jess, your thoughts concerning these questions. And the first question is, what is one thing you wish people understood about narcissistic abuse? Chantel, you can get us started.
Okay, so because I deal with the co-parenting aspect, so typically it happens after you leave. I think there's a really big misconception that once the relationship ends, the abuse is going to end. And that is absolutely erroneous. That is not the actual case for so many survivors, protective parents who share children with their abusers.
Mm-hmm.
It simply morphs into post-separation abuse. And that can be absolutely worse than the abuse you experience when you were actually in the relationship. That's not to scare people, but it's information, because information is power. Knowledge is power and empowering.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't tell you how many folks who are in the divorce process, they get close to when they're going to actually sign the paperwork and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is almost over.
Yeah.
And to tell them that they're about to cross the threshold of another layer, I call it the aftermath of abuse, and there's a whole strategy attached to that for the abuser, is a hard reckoning for many survivors to experience. Would you
It's
agree?
brutal. It's
It
brutal. It's
is.
absolutely brutal. And there's so little support in the system, from
Yes.
community. So many survivors feel so alone. And, you know, they can have the best community of people who love them, but unless you've experienced this, it's really hard to truly understand how
Yes.
relentless abusers can be, because abuse is always about power and control. And just because the relationship ends does not mean that the abuse ends.
That's
Um,
right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And I think that one of the reasons why this day is so important is because whether you scraped to get here, whether you are limping to get here, however you're reaching out for supports or for tools or for resources or for audio tools or books or conferences, it is very important that we continue to not only lift and make narcissistic abuse awareness important, but celebrate survivors.
ugh,
Be- yes, because
yeah.
there has been in many cases, there has been all kinds of insurmountable odds that survivors have experienced, and they're still showing up for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Sammy, I've got a question for you if you would love to answer this.
Mm.
Question is, um, what why is narcissistic abuse so difficult to recognize? Why is it so difficult versus, say, I would call it traditional domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, many narcissistic abuse survivors experience also the actual physical threats on their lives, physical abuses to their bodies
Mm-hmm.
that you can see with bruises and broken bones. Tell me why you think narcissistic abuse is so difficult for people to either recognize or acknowledge.
Because it's not bad every day. These people can be they can be the best people, and they can be the biggest helper to everyone that they're trying to put that image out to. And they're not bad every day. They can actually be they can check all of your boxes early on. I mean, that's not going to last, obviously, but they show up filling all of this and making you feel like, it's this magical, super special relationship that gets you. No one's ever gotten you like that. And that's what we hang on to, thinking we're going to get back to that. And they're never going to be that person again, because it's never who they really were. So it's seeing them. That's one of the hardest things, in my opinion, is that, you have so many good days with them, or you think they're good, but your body's not saying that it's good. It's good. And you have really good days in the beginning, but it's hard for others to see because they're not outright hitting you. They're not making fun of you in front of everyone. They're not doing anything obvious. And then you really start to question, is it you? Are you the ones just
Mm,
being too sensitive about it? Because, no one else has this problem with them. None of their exes, according to them, had this problem with them. It's just you. It's
right.
not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not.
I love that you're raising that, because I think one of the most difficult things for survivors to reconcile is that the person that they were in the relationship with isn't a real person or personality. It was a crafted personality specifically for them.
Yep.
It was they mirrored and studied you and created a whole, like an avatar, created a whole personality just for you. So when the person leaves the relationship, they become somebody else for the next person. And
Yeah.
so it's very disorienting for many. I know you probably, all of us can probably say this with our clients, for them to be able to let go of that fantasy ideal person they presented to you, because that's not who they are. So I get exactly what you're saying, Sammy, because it's almost, I call it the Twilight Zone, because you're right. It's like a phantom.
Yeah.
The person is a mirage.
They
I
are con artists, right? They're cons
yes,
and they're predators. They know exactly how to read. I mean, this is their superpower, is they've
Yes.
become very adept at reading people and knowing exactly what you need to hear from them. They're all con artists, right?
I
And
feel like
Correct.
there's the
harking back to you, Sammy, I call it the 80-20 rule. So they're 80% terrible, 20% good. And they give you just enough good to keep you hooked, right? So you see this little glimmer of who you fell in love with, and you're like, oh, there's that person. And then you work harder. And you work harder also because, as you said, they're oftentimes really great to the outside world. And you're like, well, they are good. Look at them. They're so good. It must be me. I
Yeah.
must be doing something wrong. So you work harder. This not only is for adults, but also for children.
Yeah. That
Yes.
part.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Jess, can you comment on this question?
I feel like when I look back, there were like strategic about it
Oh, yeah.
from the first moment, really like
Yes.
hearing you out, doing speaking the love languages in a way only to gain the trust from you, hearing you out, like actually studying you and every vulnerability to later on, like when the time is right, to hold it against you. And this is like so playbook. Like
Yeah.
this is crazy. Like looking back, it was like they
Mhm.
don't listen to you because they want to learn about you. They're actually like interested in like your story. No, they get like the gaze, this
Yeah.
kind of
It's the
gaze
intel
when,
gathering, right?
oh,
They are
when
gathering
they like hear
information
you
of their
out,
prey.
this is the moment they study you.
Yep.
And they actually go home and make notes. I have no idea, but it's incredible. Like they really just want to know where they can get you, where they can hurt you, where they can use everything against you later
Yes.
on. And this makes it so hard for survivors to actually like trust. Like I feel like each of us has these huge trust issues, not just with ourselves, but like with others. Like, can I actually tell this? Is it the right time? Should I actually be silent now because everything I shared was used against me? And
Yes.
it's so heartbreaking, and it's so hard to overcome that actually, and like
Yeah.
rebuild this trust, and like knowing, okay, actually there are people who have good intentions, right? But it's so hard.
Yes. This is a great segue into the next question, because often when clients come to us, and even our own stories, there was a disconnect in order to stay with that person, in order to meet their needs, wants, desires, or whatever fantasy they were presenting to us. We had to let go of our own identity, our own needs, wants, and desires, and become somebody else to fit into the fantasy they were desiring for us to fit into. We had to become somebody else, just like they became somebody else for us. They then project that on to their victims. So the victim actually becomes somebody different and erases themselves in order to be with that predator. So if you had to say, and I'll say, Chantel, I'll ask you this question first. What about that process of losing yourself? How do you regain? What would you say to a survivor who's listening to this? How do you regain a sense of trust and even awareness of your own identity separate and apart from that relationship?
Well, that's why abusers are so effective, because they do gradually, right? Everything happens very gradually. It's not overnight, which is why it's so hard to see. As they're love bombing you and future faking you and analyzing you and picking apart information, and you feel like you are the most special person in the whole wide world and you've met somebody who really gets you. Everything is
Yes.
intel gathering. So it's really important as part of your healing journey. I really do believe that knowledge is power. The more we know, the better informed we are. Labeling it, actually realizing that you're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not being dramatic. You're not high maintenance. You yourself are not the narcissist. Oftentimes they love to project that label onto their, actual victim. So you start to actually doubt everything about you. It's trusting yourself again, and that takes time. It's
Yes.
You really have to connect with the right experts. I can't tell you, from the people who heal and those who really continue to just barely survive, it's the right experts, the right community. That is critical, because despite having, not every survivor has a loving community of family and friends. Many people are isolated by the end of this, right? They've been moved. They've been, it's just too hard to maintain relationships. It could be very overt, very covertly done. But you typically don't have a lot of friends and family by the end of this. Your entire life starts to revolve solely around meeting this person's needs. So part of your healing is taking up space again, connecting with the right people, getting the right validation and support, and also starting to trust your instincts, because gaslighting is like the foundation of every abuser. And you really leave a relationship really not trusting your own instincts. And it's your instincts that will actually, all those red flags that we all saw them. We just didn't know that they were
Yes.
red flags, right? And we just dismissed them, we minimized them. They did enough good stuff that we're like, well, was that really, am I just being too sensitive or reading too much into this? Trust your gut. Your gut never lies. Everything else will try to reason and rationalize their behavior, but your body speaks loudly before anything else. That's my
Yes.
pep talk.
Yes. That's that's the truth. That's the truth. And that reorientation, that discovery. I say it's recovery, but it's also discovery, because for many of us these patterns with the abusive partner came, or we were groomed in our childhood experiences to see them as normal. So some of it is discovering for the first time what boundaries really look like, what's normal and healthy in terms of communication, what's normal and healthy in terms of, and I say normal, when I say normal I mean what is for the benefit of a person's well-being and helps them to be able to be an individuated self. We have to either learn for the first time or relearn what
Yeah.
those things are coming out of these
And I
experiences.
think it's really important. I think, for instance, I didn't realize that I could be a victim of abuse. I came from a loving family. I had a therapist for a dad and a teacher for a mom. They still send me texts every morning saying, "We're so proud of you, Chantel." I'm like, what have I done? I haven't, I've done nothing yet. So I erroneously believed that I was impervious. I could not be affected, impacted. And I also only thought that abuse was like raised voices and raised hands. I didn't understand that because
Mm.
I was raised in a good home, I could actually be a victim of abuse, because I was going through life seeing the good in people. And so I didn't, I had no radar for BS. I had no radar for manipulation, because I had never experienced that. Right. And
Good
also,
point.
because the abuse was insidious, it wasn't overt. I was never called bad names. I was never yelled at. I was never hit, and it could always be worse. I was unhappy, but I didn't realize I was being abused.
Yes, that right there, that phrase. So many clients say, I didn't realize it was abuse. I didn't know. I knew that certain things were hurting me, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I didn't know
And I was
how to.
miserable, right? Like I was
And,
miserable. I cried myself to
Mhm.
bed every night, but I was like, that's what relationships, they're not always easy. This is, I'm like, a bad time. If I just try harder, if I
Yeah,
just do a little bit more, if I give a little bit more, if I praise a
yes,
little bit more.
yes.
And so I think for so many people, you don't realize you're even in an abusive relationship because it's not obvious.
Yeah, that's a great segue to the next question. And I would love Sammy and Jess for you all to chime in on this. What would you say to someone who, if you had to say, this is one big glaring sign that you're dealing with a predatory personality, what would be one big glaring sign that you would say they need to look for?
Early on or while they're in it?
Early
You can
on.
you can go either way. You can go
I,
either way.
I feel like the main thing is just that confusion. Like, is this real? Like, are they really this person? Did they mean that? They probably didn't mean to do that. They're so good this way. It's that back and forth of, you know, just being confused, like this
Mhm.
unsure, just not knowing if it's really a problem or if you're the problem. It's that confusion. To me,
Yes,
confusion is one of the biggest red flags ever. You shouldn't be
that's
confused,
good.
especially if
Yeah,
you go
that's
to try to
good.
get clarification. And that just, narcissistic people don't like questions. So if you go try to
Yes.
get clarification and all of a sudden it's all hell breaks loose, that is a
Yeah,
major red flag.
yeah,
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 they
that's
also don't
good.
like being laughed at. They can laugh at you, but God forbid
Yes.
you ever say anything that's like
Don't you dare.
even
Don't
like
you dare.
slightly putting them down and like, like, oh my god. Ooh, they do not like that. Their egos get so bruised.
Mm-mm. And they might have laughed
Yes,
at it yesterday, but today it's not funny anymore.
yes, yes. What
Mm.
about you, Jess?
Goalposts.
I feel like when I look back too, it's like I think the very, very early signs, like the very, very early signs, were when they talk disrespectful about others.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a way that it's like, oh, that wasn't nice. Like you would think, oh, that wasn't nice. Like, why did you say that? And then they kind of justify it and explain it. And you like, okay, well, maybe he just has an opinion about this person.
Yes,
But actually, like this disrespect to someone else, and you thinking, this wouldn't happen to me because they love me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would they say something about you, like, or tell you something disrespectful? Like, I feel like this was a sign I was not aware of, could turn into so much abuse.
yes, yes.
Thinking,
That's really
oh,
good.
okay, that wouldn't happen to me, or like this person wouldn't say something like this about me, like kind of, like, I mean, it's fine to have an opinion. You not go along with everybody in life, but you can say it differently. There's always like, you always feel if someone has real empathy, or they kind of like try to just like remain this picture of being a good person, but deep down they already leak these little red flags.
Mm-hmm.
And we just like, we yeah, like the romanticizing thing, because we get emotionally involved, like we kind of like this person, they did so much for us already, they try to be very helpful, but then these little things look through, and we are like, well, they don't mean it this way, they just don't mean it this way. It's so
Yes,
wild. And then later on, actually, like after a while, the mask just drops and they become exactly this person to us as well. And yeah, I feel like if I can tell someone a very, very big red flag, is just don't ignore disrespecting other
yes.
people.
That's really good. That's really good. I actually have two that I keep in my mind when I'm meeting new people, when I'm going on dates, all that kind of stuff. There's two that I pay attention to. The first is fast moving.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's the
Yeah.
person that treats you like and speaks as though they have more emotional and social equity with you than you know. So, for instance, they're talking about taking you across the world, and literally you met them yesterday. They're talking about what we're going to do in the future, future faking. They're talking about what you're going to build in a business. They're talking to you about what you're going to do with them in terms of going on some, and they create this kind of fantasy world as they're doing it, as almost like a carrot and bait. and they're talking to you like they have a level of familiarity with you that is far beyond what's a normal, natural progression in a relationship. That to me has been one of the number one telltale signs that somebody has a predatory personality, because they're not going through the regular process of getting to know you. They are assuming your time. They are assuming a level of depth to the relationship that is beyond what is healthy. I'm going to use that term. That's the first thing, that fast moving. And you can see that in business, in ministry, if you're in a faith community, in an organization. It's the person that wants to become your bestie, and like they met you 20 minutes ago and they speak to you like they have it's almost like a kind of spell casting. They're literally speaking to you as if you have been friends with them for 20 years and they just met you. They're
And there's this
actually trying to
connection,
take,
right? Like they have
yeah,
like,
it's this connection, and
I have
they'll
this
use,
weird connection with you that I've never
yes,
experienced with anybody else. And
yes,
also fast moving in that, especially
correct,
when it comes to a romantic partner, they want to move
correct,
in with you, get married with you, have babies with you, you know, build stuff with you, anything that tethers you to them to make it harder
correct,
for you to extricate yourself from the relationship when you
correct.
realize it's not the relationship that you thought.
Yeah, and they want to get their hook. It's a hook. They want to get their hooks, their tentacles wrapped around you as quickly as possible. That's the first one, that fast moving. And I would say the next one, Sammy, you said it very well. It's how that person regards others, especially how they talk about their previous partners or people, and they're the ultimate victim. Everybody else is at fault. Everybody else has done harm to them. Everybody's been after them. You never hear them take accountability and responsibility and tell you the ways in which they have made things right when they've done harm to other people. That particular thing as well is a clear-cut sign that you're dealing with somebody who's a predator, and they will always use a narrative that paints them as the person who's been disenfranchised or the person that's been harmed, even with the people that are, I mean, I'm talking their parents, their kids, their spouse, their, partners, their business partners.
Everybody.
That everybody has to be the person who has done wrong to them, and they are the consummate victim. Those two things are telltale signs that you're dealing with the predatory personality.
And also
Totally.
boundaries. They really don't listen to boundaries. And it could be like, really, it sounds lovely at first, like, oh, I just missed you so much. Well, I just talked to you 5 minutes ago. I just missed you so much. Are you sure I can't see you tonight? Oh, I'm busy tonight. Oh, man. Right. And then you start to feel like, oh, well, maybe, I'm so special. Like maybe I can make an exception. And then
Yes,
so, right, they slowly are like, they are testing your boundaries, testing how strong your boundaries are. So what I always
yes.
tell people, because I have clients who are like, well, I'm starting to date. What do I take your time? Take your time. Time is their worst enemy, and time is your
Yes.
best friend. They cannot maintain this curated facade for long periods of time. You will see cracks. Do not go all in. Take your time, ask questions, say no to them, and see how they respond to your no, right? They don't like being told no. Do they try to manipulate you? And it's not always like, well, you're stupid for saying no to me. They might be like, really? And they might wear you down. So eventually you say yes, as opposed to your very solid no at the beginning. Ask questions about their friends, meet their friends and their family, see how they are, right? They typically don't have a lot of close friends, long-term friends. They might be superficial people, especially if these are moneyed narcissists, right? Then people hang around because they throw lavish parties, they give great gifts, right? There's lots of perks to being associated with these people, but pay attention. You're super smart. Somebody in the comments said, I feel silly. Don't feel silly. They are con artists, right? So they are very adept at conning everybody. They've learned from a young age to con people.
Yeah. And those boundaries, they can be very, very subtle. Something is like a first date, you go, it can be so, you don't even, it's so little. It can be just, oh, I don't want to drink because I have to drive home. Oh, it's just one drink. Like they make, like, it's just like a respectful person would be like, I completely respect that. I understand. Not, it's just one drink. We're going to be here a while. Well, that's quite an assumption.
Yes,
Right?
that little bit. Yes, that little I call it, it's like on Jurassic Park where all of the velociraptors were testing the fences for weaknesses. That's what they're doing. They're
Yep.
testing you, that little bit of, oh, but I mean, we're going to be here for a while. All of those things where you have said you don't want to do something, or this is your boundary for something, and they just press it just a little bit. That is going to be a huge reality for anyone who's experienced
Because
any
they don't actually
kind of
care,
predator.
right? Like they don't care that you're not
We don't.
drinking. They just want to know that they can manipulate you into
That's
doing what
right.
they want. And that's the boundary erosion, right? And like you said, Sammy, it's so covert. It doesn't have to be obvious. And if you're not aware, this is why I always say knowledge is power and empowering. The more you know, the more you can avoid. Because honestly, if you can avoid this personality like the plague, then you are better off, right? They
Yes.
cause so much destruction in their wake. Um,
Yes.
What what
Yes.
what I
Sorry.
totally what I also felt like was like how quickly they take up your space without without even like thinking if they can maybe ask if it's okay to come to your place, to come to your work. They don't care. I
Yes.
experienced this like I didn't even had the right or the moment to set a boundary. They were crossed
Mm,
before I was able to set them. They just show up whenever they want to show up, and if you say like it's not a good time, what do you mean? Like, and they right away get defensive and like insecure. They think you reject them. They get impulsive.
yes.
It's ridiculous. Like I had zero space to get to know this person in this
Mhm.
relationship.
And
They
women
just go.
especially, right? We are taught from an early age to be acquiescent, to say yes, to put a smile on
Mhm.
our faces, right? To not take up space. It's not to say that abuse does not happen to men. It absolutely does. I work with men and with women, but especially for women, we have a hard time more often than not asserting ourselves, right? Because that's bossy, that's pushy. You're not taking care of other people. And so if you have the right combination or the wrong combination of a person who, just wants to please people or just doesn't want to make waves or doesn't like confrontation, and you have a person who keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, why boundary work is so important. Part of your healing journey, creating boundaries around your
Sure.
time and energy. And no is a complete sentence. No, no, it
For
doesn't work for
sure.
me. No.
But the reason is like the first moment they get of kind of a bit angry with you, or not angry, or like super insecure or give you a hard time, is actually the moment they already like teach you to not have boundaries. And this is like it's so wild that a person can just like think everything is so obvious. I take up this person's place. My ex moved in with me so quick, and he made me invite him actually by playing this victim, by saying, "Oh, he's the bad the person who's been left by his ex," when in
Yes.
fact she was already like doing this relationship in therapy because of him.
Yes. Yeah.
It is so
Yeah.
crazy, but he pictured himself as the victim, and like he made me feel so sorry for him. Like my empathy for him made him actually invite him to my place because I don't want to have him live at his parents' house at this time. And like it was like, wow,
Mm.
like how did he manage all of that? Like this is wild.
So that's where they will hijack your, I call it empathy hijacking. They just hijack your empathy, and that narrative, that victim narrative is what then you can, in hindsight, you can see that they were very strategic and very calculated in creating that narrative to accomplish an agenda that they had from day one. Yeah, I totally get it. Sammy, I've got one question for you. This is going to be kind of our last question I want us all to answer. If you, if the world could hear one message about survivors of narcissistic abuse today, on World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness today, what would that message be? If they could hear one message from survivors, what would it be?
We're not going anywhere.
That's right.
We're not going to be quiet. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to, and the more they keep at it, like I said the other day, just going to get louder and more unfiltered. We're not
Yes.
scared. They have this way of intimidating, but it's just to maintain control. No, they're scared of losing control, and they don't
Yes.
more.
Yes. Yes. Chantel, what about you?
Believe survivors and support survivors. Full stop. Believe them.
Yes. Yes.
People rarely come forward about this and talk about their past to con you. There's so much shame involved in being a victim of abuse. People feel stupid. They feel, silly, as somebody said here. Believe survivors and then support them, because we all say it's time to leave, but then we leave and then there's zero support. Believe and support survivors.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that, because the truth is, if there were networks in the same way there's a system that supports the abuser, if there was a system that supported survivors, people would leave.
Yeah.
If there were ways for women, for instance, who had been at-home moms, who had been taking care of children for decades, who had some method or way of escape that got them employment, that got them into community, that got them the resources for mental health supports that they need, they would leave. This is a world-changing experience of epic proportions for survivors. It completely dismantles every part of who you are, your body, your mind, your emotions, your identity, your financial stability. And that is why survivors remain. Everything that is about your
Or
person.
they escape and then are starved back into the relationship because they actually can't stay gone.
That's
I mean,
correct.
once you leave, there are so many ways to manipulate, especially if you share children and things with this person, right? I've had clients who have been married for 11 months and it takes them 4 years to get divorced. That should not happen. Like,
What about you, Jess? What would you say is the message the world needs to hear from narcissistic abuse survivors?
That everything they try to make you feel is about themselves and not about us. Like everything they try to tell you, to insist in you, like the beliefs of who you are, or like picture you as the bad person. It's not about you. Like I feel like this I had to get out of my system for so long, because they made me think I am the narcissistic person. They want you to picture you as a bad person. This is why all this confusion comes in. And actually, like, to unwire these beliefs and really finding back to yourself and your core, knowing you never had any bad intentions, rather than eventually helping a person with your knowledge. And yeah, to unwire these beliefs, I think this is so important to have a peaceful mind there, and like actually engage normally with other people again, and not be confused, like trusting yourself that you are who you are and you were this before the abuse took place. And
Yes.
I feel like this is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, I believe the world needs to hear that there is an army, male, female, children, adults. There is an army of people who have been through such significant um, challenges and traumas with these experiences. There is an army of people that have, I'm going to use the term supernatural strength. And I want to celebrate those people today on World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. That the world needs us Very, very much. The world needs people who can continue, who have resilience, who have creativity, who can take the experiences and transmute them into something different, who are not willing to quit on themselves, on their children, on their dreams, their hopes, their purpose. And I truly believe these experiences have given survivors skills and strength that the world needs. I mean, if the world doesn't need it now more than ever, I don't know what is. I'm telling you that the world is crying out right now in so many ways for humanity. And narcissistic abuse survivors have been equipped to be able to be on the front line of that cry and that advocacy for human beings to be honored, respected, and included in what it's going to take for this world to be a different place. That's what I would say the world needs to know about narcissistic abuse. There is an army of us out here. Sammy, you said we're not going anywhere. And all four of us are ambassadors for a new film called The Narcissist Playbook. It comes out July 17th. And there has been a massive campaign to prevent this film from coming out. The same kind of smear campaign that you as a survivor have experienced when you tried to tell the truth about what has happened to you. And so we want to support this message for survivors getting out into the world. And we've partnered with Mark Vicente, who is a wonderful director, who he did The Vow on Netflix and is an advocate for anyone who has been oppressed, who has been exploited, manipulated, and controlled. So for each of us, the links in our bios, you can go to the links in our bios and be able to pre-purchase tickets for this film. If you want to donate, please donate to get this film in front of people who need to both be acknowledged and supported, but for awareness, so that as advocates and as this army of people, we can begin the process of changing and dismantling these systems that keep these dynamics for both the abuser and I'll call it government systems that are the same kind of abusers in place. Do you all have any closing thoughts before we go from this live or where can people find out who you are and where to find you?
I think we're all on Instagram, obviously. We're here. And I cannot say, harking back to the documentary, the movie that you were just talking about, it literally is the best thing that I've watched. It is so good. I cannot wait for you all to be able to see it. We've been able to see it. And I just wanted to keep watching it. It's so incredible. It's so validating for survivors. It really talks about from the survivor's perspective as well as from the narcissist perspective. And it's something that I think everybody needs to see, not just survivors, but families, friends, communities, society at large. Again, knowledge is power and empowering. The more you know, the more we can help people, the more we can prevent this from happening. So thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Just adding to that part, getting this out there to friends and family, that just because you can't comprehend a certain level of evil or something exists because you never experienced it does not mean it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean it's not your brother, your sister, your child, your adult child, your parent. It still exists, even if you haven't experienced it yourself.
I love that. Yes. What about you, Jess?
In addition to the movie, I feel like there can be a second one as well. Because this topic of narcissistic abuse and their tactics and strategies, it's like it's a never ending story. It's mind blowing. And again, like education is so important, such as actually relearning so many things like healthy relationship skills, how to communicate boundaries stronger, or like really to the core rebuild this worth that no one ever, sorry my language, fucks with you ever again. And I think ultimately for the future, like this is like narcissistic abuse also is like for you the moment to say, I take this as a learning, and moving forward, create the life I deserve and want, and don't hesitate of like being the best version I can be here. This is your revenge. Like just be the best version of yourself moving forward. Build the happiness you deserve, and yeah, this is my last words here. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to leave with you, and you said it really beautifully, Jess. I believe the crossroads for many survivors in the concept of access and how powerful access is. I have a course, it's called Access Denied, that's in my bio. And I want to help train and equip people to value their presence and who has access to it, because I believe that is the biggest piece, or one of the biggest pieces to a person's recovery process. It's getting themselves in a safe ecosystem and safe community, in an environment where their body has a chance to do what it was made to do, which was to heal and repair itself. So, for those who are looking for that, you can go to my website, KimberlyWeeks.com. But I thank you, ladies, for taking the time today to celebrate with me all of the experiences of survivors on World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. We are so excited to support the Narcissist Playbook film. Please, please, please go to the link in our bios to see if you can get your ticket and get started, because you're so right, Chantel. This is not just about survivors being acknowledged and having awareness. That's wonderful. But the reason that these things continue is because there is an invisible shield, quote unquote, around abusers, where people will not believe the things that survivors are telling them are taking place. So it's very important that anyone around people who have experienced abuse, people in the court system, people in communities, people in faith communities, people in school systems, whoever in the world, we all need to be aware of the signs, of the tactics, of the strategies, because we are all each other's keeper, your brother's keeper, your sister's keeper. And I think if the world adopted being a first responder, what do they say for kids? If you see something, say something, then we'd be all in a better place. Yeah.
So true. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kimberly.
So thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for joining us. I will post this live so that if there are folks want to rewatch this conversation, they can. And happy, I don't, that's a weird way to say it, but
Yeah.
it's a weird way to say it. Happy World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. We're celebrating survivors on World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, ladies. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thank
You too.
you.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone.